What's so cool about the Hispanic market, next slide, please, is that there's about 850,000 Mexican descendants here in Colorado. I have to make this bigger. About 30,000 Puerto Rican and then 11,000 Cuban. The rest are amongst other intersectionalities of Hispanic. So really, 1 in 5 people that we hire in Colorado are Hispanic, especially in areas of retail, hospitality, and really growing in different parts of our region. Go ahead, next slide, please. Okay, 33% or about 20% of Coloradans have had trouble paying to put a roof over their head. And when you look at that number from the Hispanic perspective, it goes up to 33%. Now, I put that there because I'm part of a group called Colorado Inclusive Economy. And our goal for that is to really increase the equitable pay and pay ranges for our underrepresented employees in the state. Now, the other really cool statistic that I wanted to let you know is that according to the US Census, 6% of the country's businesses are Hispanic owned, but here in Colorado, it's 11.1%. And what I wanted to let you know after I researched this is I've actually been pretty involved in increasing opportunities for Hispanics. I've been on the board for 7 years with Valle del Sol and Friendly House in Arizona. We have raised over $50,000 for Hispanic scholarships. And our Hispanic friends want to live lives just like we do. They want great houses, great opportunities, excellent education. And so, but however, there are still barriers when it comes to employment. And next slide, please. What we're going to talk about today, and this is where I'd love to call on our panelists, are what are the main obstacles that the Latinx or BIPOC employees have to overcome? Ubi, why don't you start with this one?
Well, and Rocio's here. Do you want to bring Rocio in real quick?
I'd love to bring Rocio in. Thank you. That'd be great.
Yeah, of course.
Good morning, or actually afternoon, or how are you all doing? My name is Rocio Duran. I am a psychologist and with a master's degree in community psychology. I've been in Colorado and a life coach. I've been in Colorado for the last 10 years of my life, and I've been working inside of the Hispanic community for all these years. I lead a couple of programs like Latina Leaders and Entrepreneurs. We are a group of around 400 Latina leaders who come together every year to celebrate and to think about next possibilities. I am also part of the Women's Foundation of Colorado leadership group, and what we do is we help women to get together and to think about problems and how can we move forward. And I'm glad to be here. Thank you, Shelley, for the invitation, and thank you all for having me here today.
Rocio, I'm so blessed to have you here. Thank you. I'm so sorry you weren't able to get in earlier, but we are very lucky to have the panelists that we do today, some of the most impactful Hispanics in the Latino community here in Colorado. So Ubi, do you want to take this first question?
Sure, yeah. I think there's a spectrum here of things, right, that often get in the way. And I think it starts with going back to what I talked about with my name, right? I mean, I've had recruiters tell me that they, for example, will see, have a resume come across their desk. It's from Texas. They notice the name, it's a Hispanic name, and they automatically, the first question in their mind is this person legal to work in the United States? And so that resume gets dismissed. And so it's literally starts at that very simple distinction, right? Like just your name can be the obstacle. And I think a lot of people that's what we're up against starting there. That's like baseline number one, in my opinion. And then you get beyond that, as far as just, it all comes down, we teach a lot around bias and empathy, right? And becoming more aware of our own biases. And it's really a fundamental training around the fact that all our brains work the same. We all have bias. Bias is not good or bad. It's just how we act against those. And it's everything from how we were raised and the people we were raised with, who we sat down with at lunch in middle school, right? In grade school. I mean, it starts there. And our comfort levels and who we surround ourselves with really are dependent on the things that we like versus what we don't like, and what we're comfortable with. And so, people who have darker skin and people who have an accent, right? Those are all things that if I'm not comfortable with that, but I'm the recruiter or I'm an interviewer, that's automatically the one thing that I'm going to latch on to. And if I haven't done the work to address that in myself, or to expand my definition of what my in-group is, the people I surround myself with, then that's the only thing I'm going to harp on. And that's the thing I'm going to make my decision based on. And then I'm just going to spend an entire interview justifying that decision that I already made, as opposed to really listening to what the candidate has to tell me, and if they're the right fit for the role or not. So, and it's hard, because how do the candidates overcome that? And so it becomes just sort of this cycle, and I think we're going to get into this later, but how to overcome that, there are different ways that you can address those things in your job search. And it's mostly about the kind of company you want to work for, and doing a little bit of research. But I think, to me, those are the biggest obstacles. I mean, we can get into deeper things around experience and, where you went to school, all of which, in my opinion, are magic numbers and should not be an issue unless you define them as a business thing. But they should be something you should consider. But I think on the forefront, the first thing we're dealing with are our names and accents and skin color and that sort of thing.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Rocio, as a life coach, what do you see, especially in the Latinx market, as being some obstacles for some of your clients?
So a couple of things before I want to add up to what Ubaldo says, and I have it all. I am a female Latinx. I have a heavy accent, and I have a real accents in my name and my last name. So I fill all the boxes. So since it is so hard to find a job, I decided to create mine. And just getting into the topic. And since it is really hard to do it by myself, I decided to create a movement to do it all together. So that's why I created Latinas Leaders and Entrepreneurs as a way. How can we think about this in a different way? And one of the things that I work with a lot of leaders from the Hispanic community, helping them to get into big positions as leaders, but also I work with companies, helping them to understand what are they missing out. When I hire an African American, Chinese, Japanese, and Asian person, when I hire diverse, I'm opening up the perspective for my company. So what I am doing with companies is helping them to understand that you have this vision, and when you get diversity in your company, you open up to a bigger vision. You open your doors to the world to see your problems from different perspectives. And I think that is one of the pieces that we need to work with companies. The problem, we can't solve it just training the employees. We have to work with board of directors. I have this problem of tokenizing people is really, really big and interesting. It's something that I've been working with a lot with my clients and with the companies, because it is easy to say, I really have a diverse board in terms of, oh, I have you and all the 9 that I have in my board they are white and male and 80 plus, which is kind of, if you check the boards, that's kind of the way that they work. So you have people thinking all the same way. So how can we help you to understand that it's not about saying like, hey, now I have Rocio here as part of the panel. We are so diverse. okay, no, how can we really start thinking in a different perspective? Because it is really common and easy to get tokenized, and we feel like, yeah, I'm part of the board, but stay quiet. Don't say much. Don't be loud, because also you need to know that we as women leaders, we are said that we are too vocal, too noisy, too we create conflict, which we say what we need to be said. We are out loud because we need to be heard, because nobody wants to hear us. So we have to knock many times. So, and that become a problem. So what I do is I work building the bridge between the organizations and the nonprofits with the board, saying like, okay, how can you open your arms and your doors and your minds to get more income, to get more clients into your door, to create a better world. At the end of the day, is how can, from that perspective, to empower and to make your company stronger. But from the other perspective, from the Latino and the Black community, the BIPOC communities, how can we start playing bigger? Because we believe the story that was told to us. So how can we change the story, and how can we start thinking in terms of, this is what I have to put on the table. This is what I have for you. Do you want it? Or I can bring it to a different company. So how can we change and shift the way that we are thinking about the problem?
Rocio, I love where you're going with that. In fact, that's our next slide, is what can we as individuals do to overcome these barriers? Now, Marianie from Dish, I know when we were talking about this pre-event, you had some really good ideas on this. So the floor is yours, Marianie.
Yes, thank you, Yubi and Rocio, for everything you have shared so far. It's so great when you can have more information, because if we're not involved in the talent acquisition or HR in companies, we don't have this information. We don't understand things are happening, right? When we think about obstacles, everyone has obstacles, right? We have obstacles as humans. The issue here is not having obstacles. It's when people have the obstacles because of their race, their background, and all these things that should not be hindering people to grow, right? So I have come to the conclusion that if you understand the landscape, it's gonna help you a lot. If you get involved with other people, you network, it's gonna help you learn about other cultures, other perspectives, and also we have to work towards that change that we want to see. Here in Adelante con Dish, as you saw when I was presented, our vision is to be the conduit for the advancement of our members in the workplace, right? But we want to do this while we share our culture. Because it's important to share the culture so that we can understand each other better. And then we help each other to grow. We help each other to move forward. And once you understand not only, as Yubi mentioned, and Rocio, the barriers, you have more information because you have touched more points and learned more about other cultures and other people. You're more network and you have more information. It helps you see where you are. It helps you see where you are and devise a plan towards where you want to go. That can mean whatever you might think of, pursuing a master's degree, pursuing a certification that is gonna provide you competitive advantage. But the more you know information and in relation with each other is what can help you go through those barriers. And the best thing, you're not gonna do it alone. So in that respect, that is my take on that.
Awesome. Yubi, I know that you had a different take on that as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's until companies like InterviewIA are successful at changing the way, you know, that we hire, right, and to make companies better at doing that. You know, I think unfortunately it sort of does still fall on the shoulders of candidates to do a little bit more work, and in really truly looking for the right company and the right environment in which, you know, where they can truly see that this company is doing the work and really leaning into, I think, the values that we're alluding to in this conversation, in that the mission aligns. You know, I just from a starting a company perspective, right? The only thing that's ever worked for me and for our team is that we all shared the same passion for what we were doing. And I think that's something that you need to find alignment with wherever you go. And I understand, you know, it's hard when, you know, you're in a position where you just need a job. And so you have to find a balance. But, you know, for candidates though, if you can, I think it's also connecting with people, because it still is who you know. I mean, I'm sort of experiencing that right now. It's like, it's still who you know, because they'll listen to your story. You know what I mean? They'll take time to talk to you because they already kind of know you. And so they'll sit down and actually give you an opportunity to tell your story. So I think it's finding those opportunities where someone will actually listen to you, because otherwise you could write a million different cover letters and you can tweak your resume 1,000 different ways. But I'll tell you, most companies use products that, you know, are sort of doing the work for the human in terms of determining who gets an interview and who doesn't. And those products are frankly just as biased as the people who, you know, created them, honestly. And so it's just really like doing the work of trying to have conversations, trying to get in a spot where you can tell your story to someone who will listen, in a company that's actually really trying to do the work. And you'll know if they're doing the work or if they're just performative. You know, a lot of companies just throw stuff up on their website or press releases. But if companies really doing the work, I think you'll be able to tell. But ask for help. You know, there are amazing people in the world who are doing the work like you, Shelly, of being a career coach, right? Guiding people. You know, there's friends in the business who do that. You know, if you've got recruiters who are friends of yours, ask for their help, right? They're more than willing to do that, to step up. And so I always say, if there's anybody in my network, right, that you want to talk to, let me know. I'll make that introduction. So it's sort of a team effort. You know, the question is, what can individuals do to overcome these barriers? I think it's find a team. You know, like, you find your community, get together with your people, and let's do it together, because we have a lot of things to overcome. We have a lot of biases to overcome. We have a lot of, like Rocio alluded to, a lot of old white guys who are stuck in their ways, and you know, that's just the way it's been, right? And so how do we all work together to help each other, lift each other up?
I just want to honor our white guys and that have been there. There are so many allies out there that sometimes I think that because so many of these topics, they often feel like there's reverse discrimination. And so I just want to honor and really shout out to many white men who are allies and are doing so much to promote social justice out there. Julie, I want to let you know, I've seen your question in the chat. We will be getting that in just a moment. Rocio, I'd love for you to take the next question on how have corporate cultures changed in the past 3 years that you've seen since we've had Breonna Taylor and George Floyd, what you're seeing in the Latino market. And after that, what trends and transformations do we believe will continue to come? So Rocio, if you would start that for us, that'd be great.
Yeah, thank you for the invitation to answer this question. I think I was still stuck in the previous question. I think the question is, what can we do as individuals? I think this, we got to the point that this can't continue being an individual effort. We have to work as communities, we have to work as individuals, but we also have to work with the leaders of the organizations. We can't change the world thinking that just from the bottom will go bottom up. I think that was useful, but now it is time to work in all the areas and say, like, okay, we need to work with the leaders. We need to work with the people who is hiring. We need to work with the organizations. We need to work with the schools and the universities, because we have to change the way that how we are approaching the problem. So it's not just one person effort. It is not I know that we are in a country where we have to think as individuals, but I also want, part of being diverse is to move into thinking as other communities and think as a families and community itself. How can, and if you think about the Jewish community, for instance, what makes them strong is that they don't think as individuals, they think as a community. And we need to bring communities in. We need to allow and open the space for our thought, our the way we think as a community, not just as an individual. So, and now moving to the next question. So
Love
that's
that.
an invitation for you to connect with your community. Which community are you part of? Who can you reach out to open your voice and to say, like, this is the problem that I am having. This is the place that I want to be working with at. This is the job that I would love to be working at. If you check the statistics about the disengagement at work, it is more than 80% of the people hate their job. Like seriously, like, to me, like, what? Why? The first step is like, what do I want to do that will make me really happy and successful? And how can where is that job at? Who knows that person that can hire me? That's why I'm asking, go to your community, reach out to and if you don't have one that you belong to, start creating one. And I promise there are thousands of communities. Since I moved to this country just with my son and my husband, I had to create everything from scratch. And I know I am a live proof that it can be done. So build a community. You have to be, this is the time where we have to stop thinking as individuals and moving to think as a communities and as a, a big movement. So now moving to the next, how have corporate cultures changed? Now it is a trend to talk about diversity. Hooray! That's it. Nothing else has changed really. So nice. Let's talk about diversity. Let's have diverse people in our board. Let's not hear them because that can be dangerous, but let's have them and let's post the picture in our website. I was part of the one program that I'm sharing with Shelley, and it is with Denson, and we had a session 2 weeks ago.
Mhm.
And one of the things that the panelists were saying is, we are for everybody. Yeah, so it is easy to raise the flag and to say how diverse we are and how we are for everybody, which is what is happening. That's the new trend. But the difficult part is to really honor our words. So once they finish their beautiful presentations, I ask, do you help undocumented immigrants? Or raise your hand. How many we have? We had 5 panelists. How many of you really in your programs help undocumented immigrants? 1 out of 5. Good. Can you tell me from your statistics that I probably you know better than anybody here, in the last, actually that was my question, 3 years, the percentage of BIPOC people that you have helped? Silence. So what I'm saying is, and I wanted just to ask, like, is it real? Like, you are coming to us and we are a group of entrepreneurs, BIPOC entrepreneurs. You coming to us to tell us how great you are. Are you really honest and offering something to us? Or is it just the label that you use everywhere? So what have changed? Many things. Not, sorry, I've been, not just one, many things. We are a trend now. So we talk more about these topics now, which is cool because now it's more public. We know that we are hated by many people because before our last, thanks to our last president, that was raised, and now we know it is clear. How before it was a quiet conversation, now it is clear. So good, that is important also to know, but also the voice of many people saying like, okay, we are here. We have to change this. We have to create a movement. So that's also coming together. And also, as Shelley mentioned, there are many white people helping. And I think that's beautiful. But also, I think we have to be careful with that because it is easy. I have had this conversation with people who said like, yeah, I really want to help and just move out of the way because I really know how to help. That's not a good way to help. Listening to our communities is the way to help. Opening the space for this kind of conversations, I think this is a good way to help. So yeah, we opened the space for conversations like this, and that's new. That's part of the last 3 years change. But we also have a lot of, we are just like the Santiago path. What is the name, Shelley? We have
El
many,
Camino Santiago,
yeah, but in English, how do you say that?
the way,
The way. The
I-
Santiago's Way, which is a really long trip. And I think we are starting that process. And I think it's beautiful because now we are less quiet and more vocal and being more noisy probably. So which is good too.
not only the Latinx market. I mean, I'm bilingual. I have a degree in Spanish, and I've been part of the Latinx community for probably over 20 years. So I get asked sometimes, as a white woman, what do you know about being in the BIPOC arena? And that's a really good question. So I have to provide information, provide space for these type of conversations, which is why I'm really honored to have the panelists. So a lot of it is about listening. It's about being part of the community. It's about knowing about the MSU Hispanic job search that's going on that Leroy Romero started with the Society of Hispanic HR group. Lots and lots of opportunities out there. Marianie, since you work in a corporate environment, what changes have you seen in the past 3 years, and what trends and transformations is Dish making with all of the social changes that are going on now?
So yeah, I wanted to infuse a little hope here. Rocio, I value so much what you have shared with us today, and I wanted to let you know that I agree with you in the things that it is a holistic effort, and you also mentioned it. We all are doing our part in every area of life that we are, outside of the corporation, inside of the corporation. So in my opinion, I find that yes, organizations are more open to conversations regarding diversity, regarding inclusion. And it is inevitable that organizations are going to continue to see the synergies that diversity creates and experience the benefits of providing that space where conversations can lead to new perspectives, bring change, and also ultimate growth to their teams. Like an example of that is our EVP of Human Resources, Dave Scott. He has been instrumental in expanding even more the channels of communication between our top management and the employee research groups here at Dish. And that has led to several proposals that have developed into programs that will benefit the Dish team members and, of course, the organization. So yes, this is a job for everyone. We're all doing our part here. So it is great to have more information, to network, to learn together, and to work together in our field to continue to bring up change, that change that we want to see.
So being part of
Mhm.
community is huge. And I wanted to just acknowledge that we have Guadalupe Hurt on the call today, who is the co-founder of Second Act Women, for a group for women over 40. And they are doing an unbelievable job of building bridges for communities within ageism, within social justice, et cetera. In fact, they're having a career camp at the end of October that I will be participating in, and you can find out on the Colorado Career Connectors community and resource page. All right, so love that she is here as well. Let's go to the next slide, and I want to go to Julie's questions
Yeah,
about
real
what.
quick, we have, Shelley, a question. It looks like Angie has a question too.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. I want to go to Julie's question around what are some of the, and I hope I'm paraphrasing this correctly, Julie, but what are some of the barriers and obstacles that Latinas or Latinos have to overcome? So, Rocio, if you can just take that one and quickly talk a little bit about that. What are some of the specific barriers for Latinos?
We have a long list, but I'm not going to make it that long. I think one, as I mentioned, I work with with leaders and CEOs, and one of the situations that we encounter all the time is um, if you hire a CEO or a manager, you have to trust them, and trust is a big issue in terms of shifting the way as organizations are and corporations, the way we think. This is the way we've been doing it and it's working forever. So we should keep going that way. So if you hire a BIPOC, open be a little flexible to risk doing it in a different way. So usually what happens is you hire the CEO and then you get a mentor from the organization to mentor the CEO because you don't trust enough that that person can do it. If you hire a person, it's because you are positive about that person, right? But also it is important to create a system inside of the community, and I want us to think about systems and from biology, from a different perspective, a system for this person to be successful. What does he need or she need in order to make his job perfect? Because if I hire this person has all I need. But as a person of a different culture, what do they need in order for him or her to be successful? And being open and thinking and listening, which is going more farther than thinking he just need a mentor, a white, I'm sorry that I keep saying white, a mentor who knows how we do it in this company. That's one of the things. So the other thing is knowing and trusting that we are professionals. I mean, we if we apply to a CEO position, to a leadership position, is because we have what we need in order to perform that job. We keep thinking that a couple of things. We are all Mexicans. I am Colombian to start with. No, eh, Latinx is broader than Mexico. Mexico is just one country. We come from different countries, and each country have different cultures behind. So understanding that too. Understanding also that as the owner of the company, I'm not my client. And if I want to reach the Hispanic, Asian, Black community, we need somebody who knows and speaks the language. And by language, I'm not referring just to Spanish in my case. I'm referring to the culture. So understanding that that's what I'm getting when I'm hiring this person. So we need, as I was saying, we need to train the leadership, the leaders, all the leaders from the company to say like, are you really ready to hire BIPOC? Because you will be really successful. And let me know as a company, what do you need from me in order for you to help your new hire to be successful, if that makes sense. And from the bottom, how can we train all our professionals and all the people who are looking for a job? How can we train you to really fit, not to fit, to succeed into that new position, to know that you have something that you are giving, and that's really valuable. So I think we have to work with both, and I think we have to create a system inside of the companies. And from what I heard from Marianne,
Mariani.
Marianie, thank you, from
Okay, Marianie.
Marianie, is companies are doing it. We have to keep an effort on that. We have to keep an eye on that and keep building up on top of what can we do? What do they need? I think the place for human resources is okay. What do what do they need in order to be successful for us as a company to be successful? That's
Oh my gosh, so many topics to talk about today. I know that we're getting a little late on the time. I'd love to turn it to the next slide. And Marianie, I'd love you to start with, tell us about some stories of success and overcoming a professional challenge that you have. And then Yubi, I'll turn it over to you after Marianie.
Okay, so as we experience work, in the case of Rocio mentioned that she created her own company. And when you read papers and studies, you see that one of the recommendations of women in the workplace is that to have more women CEOs, we have to have more entrepreneurship. And that has happened, and I commend you both for that. In my case, very early on in my career, I made a commitment to myself on investing intentionally on development, because I knew that the road was going to be tough. I worked since I was 15 years old, so I know that the road was gonna be a little bit tough. So I earned my MBA in 2009 and have consistently pursued opportunities of learning that and certifying myself that will differentiate me from other candidates, and as a result, allow me to excel not only in my job, but also contribute to serve others and help them grow as well. Because that is the real commitment that we have here. When we were speaking before about how to be a bridge for the Latino community, that is what I have always been thinking. It's not only about me, it's about all of us. It's about how, with my growth, someone can be positively impacted and be motivated to also grow in their life. So as an example, here in Adelante con Dish, what we do is super simple. Sometimes the remedy for stuff is so simple. We gather feedback, we listen to people, we communicate with them, we compile that feedback, and then we provide that feedback that our members have given us to our top management, so that we could be the bridge between the community, between our team members, between what we are seeing with our top management. And like I mentioned before, we have shared many important topics with them, and we keep the channels of communication open in a way that they can learn about the opportunities that they have to increase inclusivity, diversity, that will benefit the organization as it benefits the team members. So that's the way I have been taking advantage on helping, serving here as marketing director at Adelante con Dish. And I'm not alone. I'm with the board of directors. We also need the feedback from people. And I think that we are doing a good job, and that we are passionate to continue helping our team members and our group members grow in the workplace.
When I presented for Adelante con Dish, there were 100 people on that call, because that's the limit that we could go to. So larger companies have affinity groups, associate resource groups. I actually led diversity and inclusion for Honeywell Aerospace many years ago. Get involved in those ERGs. Listen, reach out to folks to see how you can help bridge those gaps so that you can help more BIPOC and Latinx, under-marginalized, to reach their full potential. And so Marianie, super excited to have you here today. Thank you so much for that success story. Yubi, what about you?
Oh man, where do I begin? There's so much, like you said. You know, I'm going to try to tie in a lot of the stuff we've talked about, but I think ultimately the biggest story of success for us at InterviewIA was using our own process and our own technology that we had built specifically to solve for this, to hire our first real hire after we raised money. And in doing so, it really forced us to define exactly what we were looking for and what was required in the job, right? And so the skills, the behaviors we're looking for, the traits, you know, and leaving it at that. Nothing else came into play as far as skin color, name, race, where you went to school, years of experience. None of that was defined as required in what we were looking for. And so that opened us up to be able to look at a lot of different kinds of people. And ultimately, we found someone who came from a security background out of DC, who had moved to Atlanta. She was Black, LGBTQ, and she was looking outside of her normal career experience. And she went through our process and we went through our process, and she came to be one of the most valuable members of our team because we were looking for the right things that we knew aligned to success in the role. And so I guess all that to say, when you do it right, and going back to, you know, how companies have changed over the last 3 years and how they can continue, you know, what are the right trends to continue down that path of doing things right, and creating more diverse and inclusive workplaces. It starts, to Marianie's point about simplicity. Fix what you already have, right? Fix the processes that are already in place. These are the things you're doing every day anyway. Fix those. I think people get overwhelmed or think it's going to cost a ton of money to come in and do these diversity initiatives, which is frankly why most diversity initiatives haven't worked, because they're just performative, right? And you're trying to force something, as opposed to just saying, look, can't we just make people better at interviewing? Can't we just fix the interview process a little bit so that we're asking the right questions and we're listening for the right things that we as a team have decided are the things we know will make someone successful in this role? If we focus on that, then we will not only be able to interview and consider all kinds of different people, but we'll end up hiring better and then be able to do that repeatedly, right? Over and over and over again, because we fixed the process. And that's where, you know, the last 3 years, ever since George Floyd's murder, you know, these discussions of the systemic inequalities and the systemic oppression, it's systemic, it's in the system, it's in the processes of our companies and our communities and our government. That's where the problem is. And you can't fix any of that until you fix the root problem of these laws that were put in place to keep Black people from being able to buy a house in certain zip codes. I mean, that's a thing that still exists. It's crazy to me. Red line districts are a thing, and that's written in the laws. Like, we have to change that. That's the only way it really truly changes, and it's not just performative. And so I know I'm mixing a lot of stuff here in my answer, but that's how we, you know, that's how others can sort of bridge the gap and pave the way for the Latinx community, the BIPOC community, is to fight at the core to make sure that everybody's just treated as a human. And there should be no difference just because skin, name, race, whatever, right? Like, none of that should really matter. And we found that. I mean, I'm telling you, like, JJ was, and we're a remote company, right? So we also got to look all over the US for this person, and she blew us away, and it was amazing. And because we stayed true to the process, she stayed true to the process, and it was a very It was very clear at the end of it that she was the right fit for our company. And it's okay to say fit, you know, like there's this whole thing about culture add and culture fit. You know, we assign too many terms to things. Like at the end of the day, we are looking for somebody who is the right fit for our company. And it's also not about finding the top person either, because just because someone is a great architect or considered the top architect doesn't mean they're the top architect at Google versus Twitter, right? Because it's all about the culture there. And if you're not happy, I think, Rocio, you said like 80% of people are sort of, they don't care. They're passively whatever, right? They don't want to work. They don't care. They're not happy, right? And so if you're not happy at Twitter, but you're the top architect, you're only going to give 50% of your effort. So you're not really the top. So it's, you know, we keep trying to define these, oh, we're looking for unicorns, we're looking for this. No, like you're looking for somebody who's right for your company and your company's DNA. And that's different from the other person down the street. Sorry, that was a lot.
Here's the thing, this topic does bring up a lot. And so as we close, you can hear the passion behind this topic. That's why we are very blessed to have all of you on our panel. Thank you so much, Marianie, Ubi, and Rocio. There will be a recording of this that we will send out along with information on how to reach out to our panelists, because if some of you would like to reach out, please do. A couple things that I want to make sure that we leave with is Colorado Career Connectors is here for everyone. You may have heard opinions that didn't align with yours. That's okay. We want to bring up conversations that are real and authentic. And those, I have that disclaimer, nothing that was provided here is the direct opinion of Colorado Career Connectors or not. Here's a couple different ways. Rocio mentioned the Women's Leadership Foundation. I'm part of that foundation. There's a group called Community Board Bound and Corporate Board Bound. It's for women who want to get on boards. We really are trying to flex that muscle for women and BIPOC women to get on those boards. I know that Rocio manages Latina leaders and entrepreneurs, which during Women's Week is one of the largest attended Spanish speaking events. I plan on being at it myself. If you're really interested in helping to promote someone of the Latinx or BIPOC or LGBTQ group, the first thing that we can do is really listen with an open mind and trust that the connection that we have as humans will usually lead us in the right direction. It's when there are closed-minded thoughts that are polarizing that make it more difficult. So I really appreciate the conversation. Excuse me. I will be blessed because of that sneeze. Go to diverse events. Join us at Denver Startup Week. Join us in Second Act Women, where Guadalupe Hurt is from. Look to your community to really find different ways, because there are so many opportunities for all of you and all of us. And if you are a Latino that's looking for a job, look for those companies that align with your values, that promote from within, like Dish or like InterviewIA, or reach out to me or to Rocio, those of us that are involved in the Hispanic community, to let us know how we can help you. Any last words from our panelists?
Yes, I would like to add something, Shirley. I wanted to share the 3 principles I live by. Those 3 principles are: 1, commitment to excellence; 2, to place development at the center of your strategy; and 3, serve and advocate for others. This for me has been instrumental. Number 1, the commitment to excellence, because if you do everything with excellence, your reputation precedes you, And everyone wants a teammate in which they can count on, right? And do it consistently. Number two, you have to be strategic to where you want to get, where you are and where you want to go. And then do everything you need to do in regards to development to get the skills that you need for your next opportunity, and persist on the task while you wait for that opportunity. And then number three, when you serve and advocate for others, that is so simple. If you see someone that is great at what they're doing, say something about it. The person needs to know. Maybe the person doesn't even think about themselves like that, and you tell them that they're doing a great job on this area. And another thing, the ones of you that are hearing us and that are here with us today, if you're a leader, advocate for others. Recommend people for promotion. There are so many great team members that are doing a great job. Recommend them when you have the opportunity. So those are the three principles I live by and fulfill my life every day. Thank you
I
for
just got
having me.
chills, Marianie. I think those are really great principles that we all can follow. And Yvette, I hope you captured those and that we can send those out to everyone. I want to thank everyone for their time and their commitment to this topic, for sharing your voice, for sharing your truth. And if you do need professional development and you are interested in the Hispanic market, Rocio and I are two coaches that can help you with that. Rocio especially, she is really involved and so passionate. I'm just feeling really grateful and so blessed. Now, I wanted to let you know that Yvette and I will be in Spain and Portugal in less than 2 weeks. We actually leave next Thursday. We will be walking El Camino Portugués, which is the Spanish pilgrimage road. So we will be having our own Latino celebration. And in Portugal, we leave from Porto, and then we are walking into Santiago de Compostela. My wish for you is to all have a very deep connection with yourself. We will be back in October. It is Global Diversity Awareness Month in October. We are having more members of the diverse community from Colorado. It's going to be focused on behind the recruitment curtain on supporting our diversity pipelines. Thank you so much, everyone. It was great to see all of you. Y que tenga buen día. Muchísimas gracias.